Okay, I think we can start now. Good evening and assalamu alaikum to all of the participants who have joined us today for our session of JK Scientists Outreach 2020. We after a short lull, we are back with our programs. We started different programs on JKS Outreach way back in March, and today we have our guest speaker, Dr. Manish, who is working as a reader at Tata Institute of Fundamental Research, Hyderabad. We are thankful to Dr. Manish for joining us today. And we also appreciate Dr. Saeed Mubarak Hussain, who is director of JK Scientists and is working at University of New Mexico. He will be moderating this session. I once again thank all those participants who have joined us on Zoom platform and will be viewing us on our Facebook platform as well. So this session is about Dr. Manish will elaborate on TIFR system, what this Tata Institute of Fundamental Research is all about. And he will also deliberate on different opportunities for masters and doctoral students and internship opportunities for students at Tata Institute of Fundamental Research. So may I request Dr. Saeed Mubarak Hussain, Director JK Scientist, to kindly introduce Dr. Manish.
Thanks, Khalid. Thanks, everybody, for being with us. And also thank you, Manish, for giving your time. Today's speaker is very special because there are lots of connections. First, he's a fly person studying fly genetics and neurobiology. So Manish, he did his master's from Delhi Ahilya University, Indore in India. And then he moved to his PhD to IIT Kanpur with Pradeep Sinha, where he did some cool stuff studying developmental biology of fruit flies. And then for his postdoc, he did move to America, like most of the people do. And he did excellent postdoc with Hugo Bellin. So many of you don't know him, but if you are a fly person, you will know who Hugo Bellin is. We call him the Lord of the Flies. And he did an excellent postdoc where he screened Drosophila. Drosophila, again, are good model systems to do like genetic screens. This screen was about to find genes which are associated or affected in diseases which are mostly associated with maintenance of the neuronal function. As you see, most of you might know also that neurons, once they are made, they are differentiated, they don't regenerate. So maintenance is very important. And these are the things or processes which are affected in neurodevelopmental disorders. So he identified lots of different kinds of genes which are associated with this neuronal maintenance. Some of it is published, some of it is, I guess, doing in his own lab. He got Ramalinga Swami Fellowship, which is a prestigious fellowship to go back to India, and started his lab at TIFR Hyderabad, which I guess is a newly established institute by Tata Institute of Fundamental Research, which Manish will talk more about it. He's a reader at Tata Institute of Fundamental Research and is leading a group to study not only now fruit fly genetics and genetic disorders to understand the neuronal maintenance, but also using the human aspect of these diseases. So he's studying both in a collaborative effort, I guess, the human variants and studying them in fruit flies and vice versa. So today he will talk about the TIFR systems, TIFR Hyderabad in particular, what are the different programs, different opportunities for internships, master program, PhD program. And we are grateful to Manish and Opritam. Last year there were 2, I guess, or maybe more, of internees, trainees from Kashmir, mostly from Rajuri, BSGBU, who did internship at their place. Thanks, Manish, and please start with a presentation to talk about TIFR systems, and then we will have more interactive session where students will ask questions and you mostly will answer them. Thank you.
Thanks, Saeed, and thanks, Khalid. I'm actually very happy to talk about TIFR Hyderabad and opportunities here among all of you. And in fact, it was a great pleasure to have two students last year, and we were very happy to have them here. But unfortunately, because of COVID-19, they were unable to conduct as much work as they could have done. And I hope we will continue working like that. Like maybe more people will come here, and hopefully COVID-19 will be gone soon, and we might have a much better collaboration, collaboration in this platform. So today, so I'll briefly talk about who we are, what we do, etc., what opportunities are there for all of you here at Hyderabad and in general in TIFR system. But before that, so there will be some formal slide, but later on, let's turn this discussion more into a casual platform where you can, ask me questions. Just feel free to ask me questions. I think that would be much better. So TIFR Hyderabad is rather a new campus which TIFR developed 10 years ago. But before that, I would like to talk a little bit about history of TIFR. So it's a deemed university which is currently funded by Department of Atomic Energy, Government of India. A lot of people have this idea that TIFR is a private university funded by Tata Sons. Tata Sons have a good stake in the TIFR, but it is actually an autonomous institute of Government of India. So it was founded by Sir Tirupji Tata, Tata Trust, and basically by Dr. Homi Bhabha in 1945, and then later it was taken over by Government of India, and then whole campus of TIFR came, existed. It started in Mumbai, I think, sometime in 60s, and then later on, TIFR developed a few more campuses across the country, especially in Bangalore area, and also there is a campus in Pune. And very recently, they decided to enhance their activities. TIFR Mumbai campus is very small, and they wanted to enhance their activities in a bigger scale. So they decided to move to Hyderabad, uh, where the Andhra or rather Telangana government at present provided around 200-acre land to TIFR, and that's where TIFR Hyderabad started. Right now, we are very small, but nevertheless, will develop into a bigger campus in a couple of years. Uh, this is a small building, what we have right now, where we have around 25 faculty members housed. Some of them are working in experimental sciences, some of them are working in theoretical sciences. So idea of TIFR Hyderabad is that here we will have more or less interdisciplinary approach to study three things. One is life, another is light, and third is matter. So basically, it will be amalgamation of physics, chemistry, and biology. Uh, Not just the basic sciences, but idea is also to bring some interesting questions which are necessary to be addressed for the society. We will invest more on the computer sciences, more on interface of, uh, the more on applicable science or applied sciences. For example, probably more related to disease, genetic diseases, if we talk about biology. In chemistry, we are working on nanotechnology and etc., which have more applications right away. So as name says that TIFR is Tata Institute of Fundamental Research, but we do want to work on something which is beyond fundamental research, where we can actually use our fundamental knowledge for the benefit of society. So that's the idea, and we'll probably work on those directions pretty hard, so that we do have not just the basic science input in the society, but a lot of contribution in terms of applied sciences. So here again, three different themes. What we want is the unification of traditional discipline under common themes, convergence of fundamental and applied sciences, facilitating new technologies, and third is the unification of research, science education, and outreach in ways that reinforce and elevate each other. So that's the idea we are leading with at the moment. So So since I'm a biologist, I think I'll talk more about biology. But if there are audience who are working in chemistry and physics, they please feel free to ask me question after this. So here we are trying to work on various aspects of biology. Right now, our group is very small. Nevertheless, at this moment, we are trying to work on uh, basic cell physiology, cell signaling, a bit of neuroscience, bit of animal development behavior, a lot of structural biology. We have a couple of groups who are focusing on structural biologies, and of course genetics. So myself is a geneticist, and I'm trying to address questions which are related to neuroscience, which are related to cellular physiology and little bit of metabolism. Uh, we Besides that, as I said, we have a group of synthetic chemists who are also trying to work on interface between biology and chemistry. We have material sciences people, we have theoretical sciences people who are again working on theoretical physics or theoretical chemist and somewhere interface with the biology. And we also have people who are working on optical sciences. Again, there's something which is obviously required for a lot of research in biology. So all of these fields, we are trying to see how various branches of science can work together, so that we can do something which is beyond the limit of the individual person. And that's the actually whole idea of our existence at this moment. In the science is actually quite collaborative. Earlier, a lot of labs could work with a small lab setup where individual person can publish something. But science should go just beyond publication, right? But sometimes you have limits. Your limit of your knowledge, limit of technology, available facilities, etc. So it's kind of important that within institute and between institute we can set up more collaboration. So we're quite open for those ideas here, and we are actively collaborating with between faculty members here. For example, I do collaborate with chemists here because I had my knowledge of chemistry is really low. So when we have to synthesize something, I do take their help, and we started something new, and that's actually pretty exciting. So this is so biology is quite interdisciplinary here in our campus at this moment. Uh, so these are a couple of faculty members who joined a few years ago. Tamal, he works on mechanobiology. Myself work on genetics and mostly focusing on neurodegeneration using Drosophila model system. Monica focuses on immunology, especially T cell development. Adish focuses on neuroscience or neurodevelopmental problems or sensory development problems using mouse model. Pratim uses cell culture, and he works mostly on DNA damage response. We have three new colleagues who joined recently. Ullas Kolthur is a faculty at Department of Biological Sciences at TIFR Mumbai, but he also now is faculty associate at TIFR Hyderabad, and he will start his lab at TIFR Hyderabad very soon. He focuses on more of cellular metabolism and bioenergetics, and also works on stuff which relates to human diseases. Anand Vaidya has joined very recently this year itself, and he's focusing on structural biology, and he works on identification. He works on solving the structure and mechanism of a few mitochondrial complexes. And he also worked on proteins which are required uh, required for keeping. Means basically they're important for circadian rhythm. Then Ajit Pratap Singh, he decided to join TIFR. He hasn't come here yet, but hopefully once this COVID-19 crisis is over, he probably will join here soon. So he uses the zebrafish model system, and he planned to answer questions related to developmental biology as well as aging. And so these are the faculty who are working on mainstream biology. So here just a little bit about so basically for first five people I described, you can actually find out a lot of information in the web page. And for Ajit, I thought I'll just discuss briefly about what he works on. So he's focusing on zebrafish. He's specifically working on a gene called alpha-klotho, which is an important molecule implicated in aging. So he's actually looking into details about alpha-klotho biology and molecular mechanism at this moment. And this is about Anand Vaidya, who is using mitochondria. And specifically, he's looking at the uh, looking at the complexes which are required for this crystal formation. So there's a complex called Mykos complex. He's actually trying to understand the structural biology of the Mykos complex. And here are people who are not traditional biologists, but they do a lot of biology. Basically, they are all structural biologists, primarily using NMR or many other biophysical methods to address some interesting questions which relates to biology, especially related to protein chemistry or protein structure and function. This is our biophysics group. Besides that, we have at least two theoretical physicists or theoretical chemists, Jagannath Mandal and Surjit Sen Gupta, who are working on, I mean, they do a lot of physics, a lot of modeling, and the questions they address are all relates to biology. So this is, mostly about, what we do in terms of biology. So our group is fairly recent, and a lot of some of us have just barely set up a lab, and then we have some students. Things are kind of working. So I wanted to talk a little bit about our graduate program. So we have two different kinds of research programs here. One is PhD program, which is a traditional PhD program, as you can see all over the country. The requirement is you have to have a master's degree in any branch, and depending on that, you can get admission into physics, chemistry, biology. But once you enter into TIFR system, or at least in TIFR Hyderabad, you are free to join any lab for your PhD. For example, if you join through a physics stream, you can still join a biology lab and finish your PhD like with 100% biology. If you're a physics, if you join in a physics through biology stream, you have an opportunity to join a physics group. For example, you can work with Surjit, who is a theoretical physicist, but you can actually take up questions of theoretical biology and you can work with him. So mostly it's up to your comfort and opportunity you have, and what are your interests. Accordingly, you have some flexibility, or I would say a lot of flexibility to decide which lab you want to join. So traditionally you have a lot of semesters, some coursework, and then you have lab work, etc. In case you are joining a PhD program. Besides PhD program, we also have integrated PhD program where you can join when after finishing your undergrad. It could be 3-year undergrad like BSc program, which most of the universities offer. And you could also join integrated PhD program after your BTech, which is 4-year engineering program or 4-year MBBS. I think MBBS can directly join PhD program because they spend around 5.5 years in their program. So integrated PhD programs are they are generally run for 6 years. Again, you have a lot of coursework, and then you join the lab, and then basically after coursework, there's basically no difference between PhD and integrated PhD program. It's just I think PhD program get 1 extra year. Besides that, PhD program, the only difference is you can be undergrad or you can be masters, and depending on you will get admission into PhD or IPhD program. So little bit about who we are here. So we are quite well accommodated campus. I mean, it's a decent campus. Campus is have most of the basic facilities which you need. We are still developing more facilities. Probably next 5 years we will have a full-fledged normal university campus. It wouldn't be like a small campus what we have in TIFR Mumbai, rather a much bigger campus here, like maybe mini IITs, I would say. Um, and then just few lines about Hyderabad. Hyderabad is actually a pretty decent city. I really I never lived Hyderabad before, but after joining here, I really enjoy my life here in Hyderabad. It's a very cosmopolitan city. It has a lot of flavor of ancient city and also a flavor of a modern city. So in one side of a town, you will see a lot of old buildings, really traditional culture, and another side of the town, you have it's really modern. So all the buildings looks very different, and it's just in the middle you can see the metro train, which started like 2 years ago. So the city is growing, and city is pretty good. Weather is very nice. Most of except for middle of summer, temperature goes beyond 40 for a couple of days, but most of the time the temperature in Hyderabad is pretty good. So, so, so basically, we do provide research activities on various areas, and we have very like highly well structured graduate program, and there's an opportunity to explore a lot of things, and sometimes you can explore things which you have not thought about it, but you can come here and you can explore. And basically, we are trying to provide opportunities for developing online scientific training here. So how do you get admission here? So there is something I want to point out here. In most of the universities, if you have NET or GATE, you are eligible to apply. Uh, you can go for interview, and then you can get selected. So here there is a one constraint here. In TIFR, at least in biology program, we have a very specific examination. Generally, this is a big graduate. Uh, it is something like a qualifying exam like NET. It is conducted by NCBS, and many other institutes also provide input. So, which we call a GG bills. You can get information about this qualifying exam in NCBS web page. So I have provided this link in the bottom. Uh, so generally, we conduct this graduate aptitude test sometime in November, but this year it is postponed for, I think we will have announcement during in another 1 or 2 months, but it will be conducted at sometime in March. But generally, we conduct this exam in November, and then once the exam is over, results are released. You will know whether you qualified this or not. I don't think you get specific ranking. So based on this whatever score you have, we make a cutoff, and then depending on that, you'll be invited for interviews. So you can actually look for TIFR Hyderabad web page, which is on top here. So right after our entrance exam, we will publish an advertisement for admission. So if you are interested, you can formally apply to TIFR Hyderabad, and we will look at your scores, we'll look at your CV and your reference letter, etc. Based on a couple of criteria. We invite around 100 students for the interview. So top 100 students from PhD and top 100 students also for integrated PhD. So generally, we try to conduct about 150 to 200 interviews for this program. So I think you should keep looking for NCBS webpage, and which is very important, so that you don't miss the opportunity, to enter into this qualifying exam, because that is absolutely necessary for a fresh graduate student to apply in our programs. And recently, we also have provided some relaxation about people who do not have, who have not qualified this TIFR entrance exam. Rather, they have NET, GATE, or other national exams. But the criteria for them is, at this moment, is that they should be working as a JRF or in some other form in any national or any other laboratory. So basically, we would like them to have a year of experience before they join us. And so if you have NET and if you have already worked in some other lab, NetGate or any other qualifying exam. It doesn't have you don't have to have a national fellowship, but you should actually have qualified at least one of those exams and 1 year of experience. Then you can apply to any of these campuses. That includes Department of Biological Sciences TIFR Mumbai, NCBS Bangalore, and also TIFR Hyderabad. So that's about it. So this is the information, that just basic information I wanted to give you, and then I can maybe discuss a lot of things from now on.
Thanks, Manish. Thanks. It sounds like it's a cool place to do interdisciplinary science. I didn't know about this institute. I think it's recently established. And Pradeep
Right.
is also joining?
No, Pradeep is not joining. No. I think I spent enough time with Pradeep in IIT Kanpur.
I mean, Ajit is going back.
Ajit Pratap, Ajit is joining. Yes.
That's cool.
Yeah, I think you might have overlapped with him in Vijay's lab. Yeah.
Yeah, he did an excellent PhD postdoc, and then he was at Novartis, right?
He is at Novartis. Yeah.
That's cool. Thanks. Before we start questions from all the students, tell us maybe a bit about your journey from undergrad to Hyderabad. Like, what were the challenges and what were the opportunities you went after, and how difficult it is to establish yourself or somebody who wants to do science? What are the challenges, opportunities, and how do you overcome these challenges, opportunities to find the opportunities?
Right. So that's a pretty long journey, I would say, from undergrad to my arrival at TIFR Hyderabad. So there are a lot of challenges. One thing I can tell you is people who do not belong to major cities, they actually lack many of the opportunities, and they are not aware of a lot of things. And I'm also one of those. I actually belong to a small town from MP, and till I got admission in my master's program in Indore, I have no idea that there is something called GRE, which you can write, and then you can get admission outside. So that was a problem. But anyway, that's fine. I started learning a lot of things when I joined that place, and I realized that I actually have no idea of a lot of things. What I did was like I studied hard, and I was highly passionate about biology. I really liked many of those experiments done by a lot of great scientists, and somehow many of those experiments drove me till here. It's not really any fact in the biology, but I think the process of discovery in the biology, which I have been reading during my undergrad or even before, and that made me interested in biology. And so basically after undergrad, fortunately I joined this School of Life Sciences in Indore University, and that was amazing experience for me. I learned a lot from my teachers and my like fellow students. And after so at the end of my master's program, I had a great opportunity to work at TIFR Mumbai, where I was intern in Krishanu Ray's lab. And that is where I learned a lot about flies. I started a mini screen in his lab. And initially I can confess that I was like, I don't know what I am doing. I'm flipping flies, and I'm looking at flies every single day and screening a lot of phenotype. But over 3-4 months, one day I realized that actually what I am doing is great. And because it's not about flies, it's about a question which I'm addressing. And flies are providing a wonderful opportunity, or rather they are a living test tube, where I can start some experiment and get some insight about some wonderful biology. And that is when I realized that, okay, I should actually start my journey with research in Drosophila, and we'll see where we go. So after finishing my master's, I joined Pradeep's lab as a JRF, and then I became his PhD student, and I finished my PhD from IIT Kanpur. Interestingly, there was a different kind of struggle in IIT Kanpur, because the Department of Biological Sciences just started when I joined. So I and one of my colleagues were first batch of students, only two of them, who joined the department, and the department was actually, department just had a head of the department who was my PI, Professor Pradeep Sinha, and there was nothing else, no building, no lab. So we started from scratch. And but I really enjoyed doing that, and there were a lot of challenges, and of course the time I spent in IIT Kanpur was probably more than what I expected for my PhD, but I guess I learned a lot. And Pradeep always encouraged me for good work and excellent work, and so I think he really drove me uh, uh, towards experiment which makes sense, towards experiment which are done very nicely, and also a lot about how do you present your results. And I think he really encouraged me and pushed me to publish in a better and better place, and that's how I got some at least a decent publication from his lab. Then I was always interested in identifying new genes, and this is why I was looking for an opportunity where I can perform a genetic screen. So I can perform screen by myself, and I thought Hugo's lab would be a great place to start screening. So I wrote to Hugo, and thankfully he took me in his lab, and what I started in Hugo's lab was a genetic screen, and along with my co-worker Shinya Yamamoto and many other graduate students, and it was a great experience. We actually performed, I think, one of the biggest genetic screen done in Drosophila, and including mapping of 165 genes, and it was a lot of work, a lot of challenges, but I think at the end I think I enjoyed it. And screen was not wasteful investment, and we have we have actually published over 20 papers identifying genes from those screen and characterize them, and published in various journals. That also led us to identify new human disease genes, and maybe sometime I can talk about them, but not today. And then later I decided to move back to India. I started applying to various places, including TIFR Hyderabad and other places. So here there was one challenge. When I started applying, I was not 35. I was beyond 35, and many places, they generally don't take you if you're beyond 35 for many good reasons, maybe. But at least there are some places who were open, and then I interviewed in a couple of places, and then finally I decided to join TIFR Hyderabad, and then moved back to India. So that's it.
That's an impressive story. Thanks. So yeah, that's one thing I try to tell our new generation is take your time. It's not about like finishing things quick. So some students say, who will do postdoc for 5 years, 6 years? That's what I'm trying to tell them. It's the question you are after, right? It's your motivation. And if it's your interest, then only research is your thing. Like your postdoc must be more than 6 years. The average is 5 years these days, isn't it?
Average is 5 years, yeah. And again depends on your field, but I don't think there are shortcuts, yeah. So
Go after the question, and you will find your way.
Mhm.
Okay, thanks. Let's start question and answer session. So first question is from Tanvir Ahmed Mir. Is he here in our session? Tanvir Ahmed, your turn. You can ask Dr. Manish question. You can unmute yourself.
Tanvir, you can.
Yeah.
Please unmute yourself, Tanvir.
Okay, his question, I guess you kind of explained little. What are the prerequisites to get admission for PhD in TIFR? So I think you already mentioned this in your presentation, but I would add to this question. So in the interview process, let's say they qualified this NCBS conducted exam with a good score, and they are invited for like interview, which I still feel that our students lack back home. We don't get that opportunity to discuss science, although we are starting some programs, but at least at my time, we didn't have such activities where we can discuss science, discuss papers, talk about our interests. So what actually is the process of either online or when you invite them for interviews? What is the process? What do they should qualify or prepare for?
Okay, so as I said, prerequisite is either undergrad or masters, and then another prerequisite it you should qualify this joint entrance exam conducted by NCBS, and if you are invited for interview, then in a normal circumstances we want all the students to be on campus for the interview. Only this year we made an exception where we had online interview, which also actually went quite well. So here for interview, we actually interview everybody about about 40 minutes. That has been the average. So we want to know the person. We want to know whether person has an aptitude, whether he has some knowledge, but at least he has uh, or what kind of thinking he has in scientific direction. So first of all, we ask something very simple and something very general about student, so that at least he's comfortable with the interview process. We do get people from all sort of background, different places, different cities, and sometimes it's very important the student is comfortable with the interview process. It takes 4 or 5 minutes. So once that is done, we ask questions which are not necessarily knowledge based, and we try not to ask questions which are knowledge based. So we start with questions from all sort of field, like very general chemistry, very general physics, or very general mathematics. So some of our colleagues, they are very fond of asking questions which are related to making graphs. So they will give you some numbers or some formula with which you can actually just draw a graph on blackboard. So we would like interview to be quite um, uh, dynamic or rather interactive. So generally blackboards are very helpful. So student will have a chalk blackboard, etc. So they can go and write and derive whatever they need to. So we really ask something basic physics, chemistry, and mathematics question, which are probably somebody who has successfully finished 10th grade should be able to answer. But often by and in so many years we forget many of those things. But we make them comfortable. If they don't know, that doesn't mean that it's the end of the interview, because there are many things which we can actually look for. So then we actually move more towards biology question. So my favorite question it generally relates to genetics. I give a problem which I believe people who know principle of genetics, they will be able to solve. So I will not ask how many how many principles Mendel has derived, or can you explain me what is complementation test or anything. I will give a problem which is very simple, so that if they have an idea about genetics, they would be able to solve. It takes some time, and if they can always ask for clues if they have a difficulty, and some of them they can solve it quickly, some of them take a little longer time. And during that process, I actually try to see what is the thought process, how student is approaching to the problem. It doesn't matter whether they know the definition or not. It doesn't matter they know English or not. So it's not really about language. A lot of students are really hesitant about their linguistic skills. So we really want to make them comfortable with those things. So it's actually about how you think, how do you dissect the process, and based on your knowledge. But obviously, if somebody has not read genetics at all, then he may not be able to answer the question. Then we'll change the question. So we'll move to maybe molecular genetics. So generally we ask, what is your favorite topic? And then we start from there. Or we ask questions from the write-up they have submitted. So for every application, they submit a small write-up, like if they are given opportunity here, what they would like to work on. So we pick something from that. So that's, and there we want to understand whether the write-up was written by the student or not. Because we do see a perfect write-up, and we find students, some of them, they have no idea what's written. So we just want to make sure that person has understood what they have written, and they can answer something. The answers do not have to be perfect, but at least they should have good guideline. Some logic. That's what we try to judge.
Thanks. So whoever is present in this session, any student, any question, just ask. So
So
Muntash Bashir. Sorry.
yeah, so I may ask, can I ask a question? So
Yes.
this is related to this new eligibility where you said that if a student has qualified some exam like NET or GATE and
Yes.
has 1 year experience in some national laboratory. So
Yes.
when will be the applications out for those type of?
It's the same time. So generally we have our advertisement out sometime in January. This time it's probably is going to be April or end of March. So it's the all the all the applications are invited at the same time, whether it is integrated PhD or students who qualified NET and GATE with 1 year experience.
Okay.
So I think I shared that link. I've found out NCBS. There are different institutes which require the same exam. I
Yes.
think
Yes, so many institutes now they will accept your application if you have qualified this joint exam conducted by NCBS. I think that includes ISER Pune, Ashoka, and CCMB, and many more. So I can forward this link to you, or the list of all the institutions.
so. The next question is from Muntash Bashir. Are you here? You want to ask Dr. Manish yourself? Either they are shy or there is no internet, stable internet. So her question is it prerequisite to have research experience, or like you said, there are options for people who have 1 year of research experience? Is it important or it's necessary or mandatory for normal route of doing PhD or not?
If they have not qualified the TIFR exam, then yes. If you are qualified NET, GATE, or any other national exams like conducted by DBT or ICMR, it is prerequisite to have you 1 year experience in any national lab or any university lab.
But if they qualify the written exam from NCBS,
then it's not necessary for you to have a lab experience.
do they get extra credit or it's not?
No, they don't get extra credit. No. So when you join TIFR Hyderabad, then everything is everyone is uniform. So they start from the beginning. So no extra credit, or for interview there is no extra credit either. So it is just who to invite and who to not. Basically, it is it is to limit number of students we can interview, because it is impossible to interview a lot of people. So even we try to interview about 200 people, and it is actually a huge challenge for us. Especially we are a very small institute, and we still want to give enough time to every student. What we can do is we can have another written exam when they come here, but then that doesn't that doesn't help much. So we would really like to talk to them, because often their scores in exams do not match with how they perform in their in interviews. So sometimes the exam score might be very poor, but some of those students actually perform very well. So thing is that they may not have a great knowledge about various things. Probably those are the things we're asking in their written exams, but they do quite well here, because here is interactive exam. We can ask, what do you want? So what kind of question you would like to have, and we will try to know, like, at least what kind of background they have and whether they have a good idea about that in that background. So things actually flip.
Thank you. So next question is from Tulab Azam. Is he here? Tulab, you have a question? Some are disconnecting, some are connecting. It's difficult. Okay, let's go to the next question first. Next question is from Naushin Shafi from Government College, Women's College, Kashmir, Srinagar. Naushin Shafi, are you here?
Yes, I'm here. Good afternoon. Yeah. So, what are the necessary preparations which are required for just qualifying this exam for masters?
Hi Naushin, can you repeat your question again? I couldn't hear it completely.
Okay. Various preparations for qualifying the exam of TIFR, like for masters.
Mhm. So TIFR exam is a very general exam. I really don't have any advice. How do you prepare for the exam? If you know a good, if you are good at your 10th standard physics, chemistry, and mathematics, you'll be able to answer a fair bit of questions because they do ask questions related to these fields, just to get your judge your general idea about science. And then they will ask maybe a bit more advanced questions related to biology, but you really don't have to be masters. So if you have done a good undergrad, you will be able to answer most of the question. In fact, after masters, you might forget many things. So, so, so basically, it is just a general test related to various streams of science, and in particular biology. Maybe 50% questions will be from biology, and rest of them from all other branches. So I think what you're doing, just brush up your basic knowledge, and I think that's very important to qualify the exam.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much.
So Naushin, she's an amazing student. She's a chemistry student, but has very interest in genome editing and curing neurodevelopmental and neurodegenerative disorders. So I think TIFR is a good place to do interdisciplinary science where you have chemistry background and also can do biology.
Yes, yes, definitely.
So is there integrated PhD program, like they can do masters and PhD together there?
Yes, yes. So all integrated PhD programs, you at the end of program, you are going to get 2 degrees. One is master's and one is PhD.
That's cool. So there are sample papers also available on their website, NCBS website. I shared the link. Now, Shin, you can have a look and then prepare accordingly for the exam.
Thank you so much.
Are there also some summer programs for these undergrads at TIFR Hyderabad?
Yes, so we do invite application for VSRP program, and in most of the time it is we open up this application sometime in December, and by end of January we select students, and then we send out invitation to selected students. So every lab, I think we are able to accommodate maybe 1 or maximum 2 students. So
that's cool. She's interested in going for, she's an undergrad, but she's interested in going for internship. I didn't know many programs for that. I think it's a good, Naushin, you can get in touch later with Manish to get more information.
Right.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So for undergrad program, which is like 2 months program, it starts sometime end of May and ends sometime end of July. So we do provide students, the travel cost, as well as while they are here, they will be accommodated in our hostel facility, and we do provide some little financial assistance while they are here, so that students feel comfortable here. It's not a lot of money, but at least it is enough you to finish things here properly, travel here, and stay here in Hyderabad for 2 months comfortably.
And eat biryani.
You can definitely eat biryani. Right.
Cool. I didn't know about this opportunity. I think many of the students here will benefit from this.
Yeah.
We'll try to apply.
Mm-hmm.
The lab, you have a question? Are you here now? He was here.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you can ask Dr. Manish directly.
Hello,
what you want to know.
Hello.
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, sir. Sir, are there any opportunities for projects as JRFs?
Yes. So we do have JRF program, JRF SRF. If you are fresh from MSc with no experience, you can come here as JRF. So generally what you do is you write to people here, like any faculty members with whom you want to work. If they have a position available, they can call you for an interview, and then depending on your performance and depending on your interest and interest of the scientist, you might come here. So basically, we give JRF or the fellowship for 1 year, which can be extended to another year. But generally, we do not extend beyond 2 years because we would like all the JRFs to explore various opportunities for PhD as soon as possible. So yeah, so for JRF program, you can directly reach out to any of the scientists if you are interested. You can just write to them. But the catch here is the most of the labs will have only maybe 1 or 2 positions available. So when you write, they may or may not have position. But nevertheless, you should write. Who knows? There is an opportunity.
So what is the situation like now due to COVID-19? Are you accepting any trainees or master students, or you are still on hold?
We are still on hold because we don't know when to start and how to start. We just started our the new PhD student to bring in the campus. So we'll start. I think, and that too we are doing it slowly because every person who comes here, we quarantine them for 2
Yes,
weeks.
is good
And
start.
yeah, and then so we don't have enough space for quarantining everybody together. So they get quarantined and then they can actually come to the institute. Most of the classes are running online, so student can still stay in a hostel and attend classes. And students who have not come here, they attend classes online. So it's not very comfortable, but we are kind of managing it. And maybe as soon as vaccine comes in the market and we have access to the vaccine, I think we'll just start it. So I don't see a near future, like in next 2 months, we can start in anybody. So right now, everybody who approaches me, I just have to, write a regret letter that we are closed right now. Uh, but hopefully we can start summer program this year. I hope by that time we are in a better shape.
Yeah, hopefully. It's very unfortunate that we have around 15 students who have been shortlisted,
Mm-hmm.
and they are very good
Yeah.
in terms of their interest and also dedicated students. But most
Right.
of the institutes these days, they don't take students.
They just can't. That's the problem. That's the risk. Otherwise, every summer or winter, I always had at least 2 visiting students in my lab, and that made my lab quite vibrant because there are students, more students, more work, and then a lot of fun as well. But not right now. But some institutes are actually, they started opening up. I think CCMB is accepting applications. I'm not sure, but I heard that they are accepting, or at least they are reviewing applications. There might be some opportunities there.
What about
And
CDFD? Maybe Asif knows.
Ashif might be a better person.
Yeah, probably I can talk to administration and then see whether they are starting it. Right now,
Right.
they are not. There are no applications out, but probably they may start. I have to ask.
So in fact, what I'll do is, as soon as I know the institute is allowing people from outside, or if they can have some exception, because we can't have a lot of people in bulk. At least once our all PhD students are back in the campus, then we can probably open up for few students. So I will definitely inform you, and then you can actually communicate to all other students in
Thanks.
in this forum.
The next question is from Sadaf Shafi. Sadaf, are you here? You can ask your
Yes,
question directly.
yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
So my question is, how can we approach DIFR for research internships?
So, Sadaf, so for
Yes.
approaching research internship, there are 2 ways. One, you write directly to a scientist. So, before writing to anybody, I strongly suggest that you read a little bit about his or her work, maybe a few papers, and see whether you are interested in that work. And then write a very simple email showing what is your interest and why you are interested in this in particular lab, and attach a very simple CV, uh, because we know that students generally will not have a lot of research experience. Even they do have a lot of research experience, it may not matter to us, or sometime it does. So just make a very simple CV and very simple email, and explaining why you are interested in this particular lab, and that's it, and then and wait for the response. So sometime if people have space in the lab, they will write back to you. Second option is you apply for our BSRP program, which is Visiting Research Scholar Program. And generally it is open sometime in January. This year I mean, sometime in December, in fact. This year, I don't know when we are opening that program. So that is another option. Again, I will share all of these links with your forum. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
So for internship, basically, BSRP program opens only for during this winter. The applications are open during winter, and then training is in summer. But for internship, like 6-month project work, MSc project work, etc., you can write at least 6 months in advance. So suppose you are interested in summer maybe a 1-year program which starts from July. Or that is what requirement is of your university, then you should approach us at least 3-4 months, or I would say maybe 5 months in advance, because that's where people actually look commit. Some people, like somebody suppose they wrote to me sometime in July, I started communicating with them, and then I will commit to them like in another month or so. And then basically my lab, if committed with 2 students, then I would not be able to take any student if they write to me sometime in November and they want to join me in December or January. So writing in advance is a good idea.
Thanks. Next question is from Ayaz Bashir.
Hello, good evening, sir.
Hi, Ayaz.
How are you, sir?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, sir. Sir, my question is, sir, I'm in biochemistry, third semester this time, sir, in Kashmir University.
Mm-hmm.
Sir, my goal is first of all to qualify NET, CSI or JRF NET. Sir, but I saw your Facebook first time, this TIFR. I don't have any idea about it. So, sir, you tell me if I will come to your institute for PhD, what I have to do, what kind of preparation I have to do.
Okay, so
I thought it very interesting. I saw your lecture for 5-10 minutes. So I want to do a research in genomics. So please tell me about it. How can I approach?
Right. Thanks. So first thing is that it's important that I think I'll share the link with you, but it's very important that you appear for TIFR entrance exam. And requirement, as I said earlier, for the entrance exam is a very basic understanding of science. Before you go for exam, maybe brush up your 9th, 10th grade mathematics, physics, and chemistry quite well.
Yes, sir.
And then general biology, and probably there will be very few questions which are very specific knowledge based, but generally it's they are quite general questions. I'm pretty sure a lot of people actually qualify this exam rather easily. Some students complain that the NET exam is rather more difficult, so there's no specific key which you can use and then get, qualify exam, but you just have to read more general science. It won't be a very strict biochemistry exam, I would say. It will cover everything around biology, right? And then look for.
That means it will be life science based.
It will be life sciences, yeah. It will be general life science exam.
Sir, is NET necessary for this exam or not?
NET is not as necessary for the exam. You can directly write this exam as long as you are studying undergrad or MSc. You can do that.
Sir, I am in 3rd semester. I
you
would be completing my MSc around August. So
right. So you should apply for this exam. Keep looking for NCBS webpage for the advertisement. Generally, we conduct this exam in November, but this time it will be sometime in March. And please check. Keep checking in NCBS webpage for the exam. Do appear for that, and then soon after exam, keep checking NCBS, TIFR Mumbai, and TIFR Hyderabad webpage for the interview for this application deadline. So you have to individually apply to each institute later on. So basically,
yes,
the
sir.
exam is just a qualification.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, if I will qualify this exam, is it their scholarship or we have to fund our studies from myself?
No, no, no. We will cover all scholarship for you. No problem. So TIFR sponsor all this scholarship. You don't have to have your own scholarship when you join us.
Yeah,
Okay,
thanks.
sir. Thank you,
I
sir.
have shared that link. You can also find on NCBS on our JK Scientists Facebook page. There is, I guess,
Yes, sir.
like Mani said, exam going to be conducted in January or February. I don't recall properly. And also there are last 5 or 10 year of sample question papers, solve the key. So prepare for the exam, and I think you will do it. Thanks.
Okay,
So
sir.
next
Thanks a lot.
question.
Thanks a lot, sir.
You're welcome.
Let's go to the next question. Unless somebody in the forum has here any questions. So Tanvir Bilal, are you here? I see Tanvir Ahmad Mir. Tanvir Bilal has a question. It's more about postdoctoral fellowships or postdocs. So are you also taking postdocs? What is the procedure? There are some people who I saw recently some posts, they want to do postdoc in structural biology. It seems you have that department there.
So we don't have a departmental structure. The whole institute is under one umbrella. All physics, chemistry, biology, they are all in the same building at this moment. And I think it would remain the same way. So there are people who are working in biophysics and structural biology. You can write to them, and I think Anand Vaidya is looking for postdocs and also JRF. Because he joined here recently, and I think maybe you should reach out to him because I'm pretty sure he has some space right now. So if you're interested in structural biology, write to Anand Vaidya. You can write to other people as well. So we do have postdoc positions available, but it all depends on individual lab, whether they are at the moment interested in taking postdoc or not. So I would say if you're interested in any lab, you can write to them, send your CV. The requirement for postdoc is, you should have a PhD, and hopefully with the
Sorry. Sorry about that. I don't know what happened.
Yeah,
maybe
no problem, no issues. yeah.
So, do you have any questions?
Yeah, yes, sir. I have a question. Hello.
Hi, Hashim, I can hear you.
Yeah, yes, sir. I have a question related to sir physics, sir. I want to pursue,
Sure.
Sir. Sir, I am obtaining my master's from NIT Srinagar, sir.
Okay.
Sir, for PhD, am I eligible for in biophysics? Sir, for example, I want to do research in biophysics. Am I eligible, sir?
Yes, you do. So you can apply in a physics school of TIFR Hyderabad. Again, all the information about graduate school will be in our webpage. So you can apply through physics stream, since I think you will be more comfortable in interview for in physics stream. Once you join our department, you can always select a lab who is more interested in biophysics.
Yes, sir. Sir,
So
I have another question, sir. Sir, there are different types of TIFRs working in India. For example, sir, TIFR Mumbai. Sir, is TIFR Mumbai and TIFR Hyderabad and different centers are there. Sir, does they have same eligible criteria, different criteria for
no,
masters, sir?
They all have same eligibility criteria because we are all under same subject board or university. So all the rules for entrance and eligibility criteria are all uniform across all the centers. So
how much
the rules which are sorry, go ahead.
Sir, how much fellowship does your institute provide for a PhD student per month, sir?
So it is going to be the same as a national fellowship, which is set by Department of Science and Technology, and that's what people get when they qualify NET or any other entrance exam. So I think at this moment, JRF, or first 2 years, PhD is 31 or 32,000. Again, I don't remember exactly, but I think it's 31,000. If you live in institute accommodation, then you don't get HRA. Otherwise, you get 24% of HRA, which is given to you if you opt out to stay somewhere else. And after 2 years, it becomes, I believe it is 35,000 plus 24% HRA, which is, again, if you live in institute campus, then you don't get HRA. If you live outside, you can take HRA, and then, you live outside. So there are, there are housing complexes around where you can live.
Yes, sir. Okay, sir, I have another question, sir. Sir, for example, for a student, if a student wants to go do PhD in foreign, sir, what is the eligible criteria to do PhD in foreign, for example?
So PhD in foreign, it depends on the country you're applying. For example, if you are applying in USA, most places, require GRE, and I think Saeed is a better person to answer that. But again, if you are applying in Germany and many other European countries, I think many of them, they prefer that you have at least a year of experience, some year of research experience after your master's, and that helps you.
For example, if I I have a project at my fourth sem, and if anyhow I manage to get a research paper published in my MSc level, sir, can I get admission through on the basis of research at MSc level in foreign, or I have to qualify GRE or TOEFL something?
I think it all depends on where you're applying, who you are writing to. Your chances of getting admission in a good place will increase tremendously if you have published a paper.
Okay, sir.
People will really appreciate that, and publication is actually a real qualification you will have. So that would be wonderful if you can do that.
Thank you.
And of course, if you are applying in US universities, mostly I think you apply to a graduate school, and I think most graduate school require GRE and TOEFL. But if you are applying in European universities or research institutions, they do not need any of these qualifying exams. Some institutes, some centers, they have their own examination. For example, they will conduct some exam, and then they will actually get people admitted through interview. Several individual labs can interview directly, and if they have a position, they can actually they can invite you for PhD program there. So there's no set rule. I think it all depends on country, institute, and laboratory. So basically, you should look for your interest, search few labs, and when you're writing to them, you should make sure that you have read their work and that reflects in your write-up.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thanks. There are sessions I think we have conducted about how to get PhD outside, so
yes,
you can get more information there. So Misbah Khan, she wants to ask an important question. Misbah,
yeah,
your turn.
Yes, sir. Good evening, Dr. Manish, and thank you for this informative session. I would also like to thank the team of JK Scientist for organizing this session, which was really helpful. My question to you is, sir, as an undergraduate pursuing bachelor's in biotechnology, if I qualify GATE BT next year and have a couple of summer internship experiences, which I did during my bachelor's course, can I apply for integrated PhD at TIFR? Because as you said, students can also get in based on their research experience other than the GS exam, the entrance exam.
Actually, no. So that is for MSc and who have qualified NET, GATE, or other exams with 1 year experience. As far as I understand, you should spend at least 1 extra year after getting your degree. So I think, as far as I understand right now, but maybe things may change. We don't do this for integrated PhD. I think this is only for MSc, and it's after MSc. So the qualifying TIFR exam would not be very difficult task actually. So I think you should start looking for TIFR entrance exam, At this moment, I don't think we are open for other things. So anyway, for qualifying, I mean, for admission, you need to qualify at least one exam and 1 year experience post MSc. But
All right.
I can check, and if there is a change in this plan, I will or change in this criteria, I will inform in your forum.
All right, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Any other questions from the students here?
Faizan has a question. Faizan, you can go ahead.
Faizan, you can unmute yourself.
Hello,
Faizan.
sir.
Yeah.
Hi.
Good.
Sir, you said earlier that we must be having some good knowledge of basic science for TIFR exams. Sir, you said earlier that we must be having some good information about the basic science for TIFR exams.
Basic knowledge, basically you should have a basic understanding of physics, chemistry, and mathematics, and
Yes, sir.
besides you should have a basic understanding of biology, which each of us study during 11th, 12th, and also during undergrad. You don't have to be biochemist or microbiologist or biotechnologist for that. Just basic biology, basic logic of the principles of biology. That's all you should know.
Yes, sir.
I believe. But
Sir,
go ahead.
Sir, is same question applied for PhD program, or we must be good in the interested subjects, sir?
It's same for PhD programs and integrated PhD program. It really doesn't change much.
Okay, sir.
And then check out those previous question papers, so you will have a good idea about the overall kind of questions are asked. They might change every year depending on who is in the committee and designing the paper. But I think overall criteria would be kind of similar. Question might change.
Thank you, sir.
Who is next? Nobody from here?
We have two
Okay,
questions on Facebook. Take them up, please.
Who?
We have two questions on Facebook.
Yeah, can you ask directly to Manish then? Thank
Okay,
you.
Dr. Manish, we have first question on our Facebook platform from Insha Rasool. She says that there is always a disparity in between what a student would display in an interview and how they would perform on exams. So in your opinion, why is there such a disparity? Has it something to do with how overall school-based education system is structured in India?
I believe that could be one of the reasons, actually. So there could be many reasons. And also it's about a day, right? How well prepared you were when you went for entrance exam, and how well prepared you are when you are asked, you are in a interview room. What kind of committee you have, what kind of questions were questions asked to you. So there could be many things. It's very difficult to understand why this is happening, but we do see often it's not that every single time it will happen, but it so happens that people who were actually in the bottom of the list, they did very well, and probably they were not they were not well prepared when they actually went for the entrance exam. But here, when we are asking questions, their thought processing might be very different, because we are not really asking questions which are knowledge based, because those questions were already asked during your exam, and now we are just judging how do you think, what is your approach for the subject, or how do you approach if you were asked a question, and that could very well affected by kind of exposure you had, or kind of teachers you had earlier, how they trained you, and it's very difficult to define what could be the reason. But
yeah, I think you're right, it's difficult, but I think from my experiences thus far, coming from Kashmir to Germany to Bangalore to Germany to US, and now interacting with students like in class, our education system, at least in our region, unfortunately is not like what it should be. So we focus just on remembering things. That's it. We don't actually discuss or go into scientific thought process, critical thinking, right? And that's, I guess, what is very important when you go for interviews. When you are in person talking to Dr. Manish, if you have not ever discussed a paper, if you have never discussed a topic, in our system, at least, maybe it has changed for good, I guess. We never were encouraged to ask a question in the classroom. If we ask a question, we're either a rude student or we just want to show off.
Yeah.
And that's the first thing which actually takes these students down. If you don't encourage students to ask questions, how can they learn? Now, with this forum, JK Scientists, we are trying to start new programs. Hopefully, students find them interested and exciting, like journal clubs. So they can present a paper, they can analyze a paper. That's what I guess helps in interview process.
That will help tremendously, I think, yeah.
Yeah, this is the skill which I also lack still. I try to improve, but it's something which should come from schools and teachers.
Yeah.
And one concern I had, I also wanted your opinion, is you said that when they write SOP, it's very different when you see them in person, right? That's
sometime they write perfect SOP, and then they really have no good idea about what they have written, because again it depends what kind of help you got from others. So suppose you are in a good lab and you had a fellow senior PhD student, they might have helped you, or you might have copy pasted from somewhere else. So that's why we don't give too much of weightage on the write-up when we select candidates for the interview. So and then we do give a lot of weightage whether what they have written they know about it or not, whether they have given some kind of thought process while writing or not. It doesn't have to be perfect write-up, but in fact an abstract idea out of the way, which is without any references or anything, might work out quite well, because most of the time students write something what they have done during their summer internship or during their MSc project work, and they copy paste everything over there. So that doesn't help much.
Yeah, these are all very critical, different skills. Like, as I said, that we never were encouraged to get up in the class and draw on the board to discuss something. And in America, when I had to apply, here there is chalk talk also, right? When you have to go and present your ideas. And I didn't know what chalk talk means. Then I had to kind of think about it, Google search, and then I talked to Chris, what does this mean? He said, this is what it means. And then also you have to prepare very well for this. This is what actually determines if you get a job or not, right? And I didn't have that exposure or that opportunity. And then I actually practiced this a lot, like with my colleagues, with my friends. And I encourage students to do the same. You have a group of students, 5, 10, just get up and discuss your idea. It could be anything related to why are there, like, why is this pollution in our Dal Lake? How can we treat this? How can we solve this problem? It could be any simple problem, but start discussing things, start being interactive, start asking questions, and also creating this atmosphere where each individual, whether the question is like right or wrong, you basically discuss your ideas, not judge people based on if they ask questions, if they ask dumb questions. Questions are questions. They actually, dumb questions are always very good because they let the other person understand things better. Anyway, I think we took lots of your time. It's 1.5 hours.
No, that's fine. That's all right.
Before we wind up,
unless Khalid has some questions, I think I'm done from my side.
Before we take up another question from Facebook, Insha adds up to what she had said that, so does it mean that, I mean, the scenario we were discussing, would you say that at times a student who gets disqualified in exams may do better in interviews?
It's possible. It is possible.
So
Insha Rasul is she has been with JK Science for a long time, and she has had mentorship program for some time. I think that's why she has these questions.
I see. Yeah, no, it is possible, and we have seen it. In fact, I don't remember the name of a student who was from Kashmir University, and he got admitted to our program. Finally, I think he decided he got admitted to CCMB and also in ISC, and I think he left for ISC. I spoke to him. I was trying to convince him, like, why don't you join us? But anyway, I think he made up his mind to go to ISC. And I think he found a good match because what his interest was in the science. He found a good match in ISC, one of the ISC lab. So anyway, his score was not great. Interview score, not interview. Sorry, his exam score. He was nervous to begin with. And when one my colleague from physics, he asked a physics question. He's like, I'll ask you something from physics. And he said, I don't know physics. I can't answer. And then said, no, you have to answer. That's what the response was. And it's very simple. We'll help you. Ask what you need to. If you need information, ask us. If you want some definition, we'll give you. And then he said he was hesitant, but he answered. It was like 10th grade physics, and he answered. He knew it. It's just, he may not know the equations, but at least he had good understanding about what's happening. I think it was something about acceleration and speed, right? So when the questions were asked, he answered because he was actually a very logical person. Then he started talking about biology. I was very impressed. I was very happy, actually, the way he was answering, and whatever he did during his internship, he actually knew. So most of the students, they discuss about their experiment and result. He actually started with the control because this is a perfect control. This is what I need. So he added some vector. I mean, he was supposed to express something and look at the effect, and he also expressed something else like GFP or RFP or something. I don't remember what. And they're like, why did you add this one? It is actually meaningless here. He's like, no, this is for control. So I know that in both of the cells, I have equal transfection or something. And I'm like, okay, he did the experiment. He knows why he has done. And then we ask questions which are rather difficult, like designing the experiment eventually, because, the students who do better, we ask more difficult questions. And he actually performed very well. So he was very hesitant. He was communication wise, he was not great to begin with. But then he communicated whatever he wanted very well because he knew what he's doing. So, this was a great example which came to my mind right away. But unfortunately, he did not join us. So I think he had some other ideas, but that's okay.
So we have one more question from Mr. Yahya Khan. How good is the idea if I want to shift from my PhD subject once I am done with it and choose astrobiology or oceanography? He's currently working now at University of Hyderabad in a neurobiology and molecular chronobiology lab. Mm-hmm. How good is that idea? Is it practical?
I think it depends. It's not going to be easy from moving from neurobiology to astrobiology, but I think it depends on interest, background, and opportunity. If you have a good mentor and if you are willing to do something like that, you can give yourself a chance. Whether it's going to be risky or not, I would say there is always a risk in research. Even if you go to a perfect lab of your choice, I mean, it may not be a successful venture either way, right? So, I mean, research is a little bit of gamble. I mean, I think you all agree, right? Saeed and others who have done PhDs and met a lot of people on our way.
We have Iqbal Fahim with us on Zoom. He's saying that thanks for sharing my experience as an example. Is Iqbal the same Iqbal who met you at NCBS? Are you the same?
Really?
Can you?
Okay.
We can show you
Hello,
your
sir.
camera now.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Turn on your camera. You can ask
Am I
questions.
audible here? Hello.
Yeah. Hi.
Hi, sir.
Good to see you. So,
thanks for sharing. Yeah.
So you remember your interview?
Yes, sir. I still.
Okay. See, we still remember you, Iqbal.
Maybe Iqbal can start some sessions preparing students for interviews.
Yeah. Why don't you talk about your interview experience at TIFR, Iqbal?
Yeah, actually, any of the students who ask me regarding these things, I tell them all the experience, whatever I know, whatever exams I have qualified, I tell them all of the things.
Okay.
Well, you should give a session with the. You are already in our coordinator list, right? Yeah.
Well, we'll just
Yes,
meet you
yes, yeah.
from outreach. So we'll be glad to have you for a session, particularly if you want one-on-one session with the students also. If you don't,
Yeah, I think it's very important.
perfectly. Okay.
Yeah, maybe soon we can decide that.
Thank you so much.
So how are you doing, Iqbal?
Yeah, yeah, I'm doing fine here. Yeah.
Okay, great. You're still in ISC, right?
Yes, yes, Professor
Okay.
Navraja Lab.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
I had one suggestion regarding the TIFR exam. In this exam is conducted in the winter session, like it's I think in Feb, if I remember correctly. The problem with Kashmiri students is that we have only one center in JNK. It's in Jammu.
I see.
And it's like a 1 day whole traveling time. Or
Right.
we have to go by flight if the roads are blocked by snow or something else.
Right.
So I think if we get some kind of help from you, like to increase one center in Kashmir also, that will be really great help for all the students. And the number of participants will also increase, I think, because at my time, many of the students didn't apply because of the same reason.
I see.
Sorry to interrupt, Mr. Manish. Actually, I just want to add up what Iqbal has said. I mean, this is true not just for an NCBS exam. This is true for some GATE exams also, and previously it used to be true for ICR exams also. But ICR has recently shifted a center to Srinagar also.
I see.
The problem with ICR specifically as well, and GATE also. GATE's in January. ICR is around the same time also, and it snows heavily along that Jammu Srinagar highway, and most of the students are stuck. I mean, you don't know that it's going to snow tomorrow, so that might be true for this also. So if we can use your good offices and for this having a center in Srinagar also, and we have ample students, say from Kashmir University, from Islamic University, Central Universities, so they can have an opportunity to be a part of this examination.
I will convey this message to the people who are organizing this exam, and I'm pretty sure we can do something about it. At this moment, I would also like to request at least one of you to write, these details to me. It will be helpful for me to, I will forward, I will give my opinion, and also I'll discuss with this reference. And I think we can change it. It's not something very difficult. We should be able to change it. Sometime we conduct exam, etc., based on our convenience, or we see, okay, this is going to be the best time to conduct exam. But of course, there are situations which are very different, and if we know about them, of course, we can incorporate. I mean, we can think about changing.
If it is the same exam for many institutes, I think having a center in Kashmir, Srinagar will be a good help for all the students. We can write from JK Scientist to you, and you can forward, or I can even write to Shashi. Shashi is not part. He's from ISIS.
Shashi is from ISER, and he's also in Ashoka. And in fact, if you write independently, Shashi, he would also be able to forward this message to Jitu or others, because Shashi actually knows everybody. And I think Ashoka and ISER, they also take students through JJ Bills, which is a NCBS exam.
I can email Vijay. Vijay is at NCBS. Yeah.
Vijay is NCBS, but I think Vijay is too busy, I guess. So, but you can definitely write to Vijay as well about this problem, and if he writes to the committee, then I think it would become easier, I guess.
Thanks, Iqbal, for raising this issue. It's very important.
We have one last question on Facebook. There are a lot of questions. I mean, most of the questions you have taken up during your presentation and other questions. So one question is from Mr. Nasir. Does TIFR offer research in quantum biology?
No, currently so the question is whether we offer research in quantum biology. Right now, nobody is working on that area at TIFR. Not right now, and I don't see happening, at least in a very near future, like not in another year or so.
So that's perfectly okay. So I think we are done with the questions. Dr. Mubarak Saab, if you have any more things to say.
No, I'm good. I think we're very grateful and thankful for Manish to be with us and share his experiences. And we are hopeful that we will be sending you good students for internships, PhD programs, postdocs. And hopefully soon we will have this exam in Kashmir as well.
Sure.
And we'll be in touch. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Saeed, and thanks everyone.
Dr. Manish, for being with us today. It has been nice learning to you, and I'm sure that not just those who have been with us today. I mean, we stream it live on Facebook, and we also keep it on our YouTube channel. So any of the guys who is interested specifically related to TIFR, they go to these Facebook page and YouTube page and see it later on as well. And we would request our guys back home that you can write to people at TIFR and Dr. Manish specifically at any point of time if you have questions concerning admissions and internships. And I would also like to thank Dr. Mubarak Hussain, who joined us from US today. And it has indeed been nice that he has moderated the first of our session on outreach. So thanks. I mean, we understand that you woke up at 5:30 a.m. in the morning. I don't know.
4:30.
Or not.
4:30.
Sorry. Once again, I would also like to appreciate Mr. Asif Bakshi, Saima Beg, and Dr. Zahoor, who are part of our outreach team, for helping us organizing these kind of sessions. And I would also like to place this on record for all those who are joining us today that we'll be having next session in offing is about the session, this admissions related to postgraduate programs and PhD programs at different US universities. One of our members, Ms. Ashwak Masoodi, will be joining us for next session. For the same, we'll be circulating the poster in a couple of days. So thank you once again, Dr. Manish, for being with us today. We appreciate you giving us time today. And thank you so much, Dr. Mubarak sir, for joining us today.
Thank you.
It was my pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye, Manish.
Okay. Bye, everyone. Bye, Saeed. You.
Bye.